The man allegedly responsible for the fire at the country's parliament has made his first appearance in the Cape Town Magistrate's Court. The 49-year-old suspect, identified as Zandile Mafe, was arrested after being caught with the stolen property with which he gained entry into the parliamentary precinct. Mafe faces charges relating to the National Key Point Act. A spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority in the Western Cape, Nta-baza-lila, says the suspect also faces 2 counts of arson, possession of an explosive device, and destruction of essential infrastructure. Meanwhile, Mafe will remain in custody until his next court appearance.
I can confirm as the state that Zandile Christmas Mafe, 49 years old, from Khayelitsha, appeared at the Cape Town Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the fire that took place in Parliament over the weekend. He's facing 5 charges currently. Those charges include housebreaking with intent to steal and theft, 2 counts of arson, possession of an explosive device, and destruction of essential infrastructure. The case has been postponed to the 11th of January.
Now joining me is a South African journalist and editor, Candice Bailey, to give us the latest on today's proceedings. Good to see you, Candice. Quickly here, Candice, give us a rundown of what happened in court today.
Viewers. So as Eric Nta-baza-lila said, it was quite a short appearance this morning. It has been postponed for 7 days. Zandile Mafe made his first appearance. He has basically indicated that he will be pleading not guilty. The court, bail is not happening this week. Bail will only be happening next week. And the reason why they've postponed the proceedings today is to give the prosecution at least 7 days to verify Zandile Mafe's address and who he is, and if he checks out, essentially. The other reason that they've postponed is because investigators at Parliament want to be able to assess the damage that has been caused at the precinct by the fire, and they think that that could take a little bit longer to assess exactly how far and how badly the fire has caused damage to Parliament. So that's very briefly in terms of the charges. In addition to what Mr. Nta-baza-lila said, there will also be a charge of an explosive act, contravening the explosive acts that will be put against him, purely because it's alleged he was found with explosives on him, as well as the stolen property, such as crockery, laptops, and documents that were retrieved from Parliament, we believe. In terms of the National Key Points Act, the National Key Points Act really regulates how people behave and how they, the security at all of venues and buildings that have been declared national key points by government. So he was obviously found on the property, alleged to be found on the property, contravening because he hadn't had permission to be there. So he would be charged in terms of that National Key Point Act as well.
You know, there have been some remarks that this man could just as well be a scapegoat. Is there any truth to that? What do we know about the man charged, even though you just highlighted that they're trying to find more about him?
Exactly. So what we understand, the statement about him actually being a scapegoat has emanated from his lawyer, Luvuyo Godla, who says that he's a scapegoat because he was virtually, what we understand is that it appears that he may have been homeless. So although he has a home in Khayelitsha, which is a township on the outskirts of Cape Town, it appears that he was found outside the Parliament and could have been homeless or could have been sleeping on the street. So also when he appeared in court this morning, he was also quite disorientated. So he did appear to be, a little bit unaware of himself, and that could also be why his lawyer is using the allegation or putting out the statement that he's a scapegoat, he's a poor person who's just being used because Parliament has not been doing its job in terms of security. We know that there have been allegations over the past 24 hours that security has been breached because there was not enough security at Parliament over the last 24 hours. They've been cutting back as a result of not being able to pay overtime, and because of those security breaches, they needed somebody to lay the blame at. We also know that the acting secretary at Parliament will be compiling a report on the events that happened in the last 48 hours or so in terms of the security breaches. So that report should also be coming out and should be going to members of Parliament within the next week.
Well, earlier I spoke with Gubula, the spokesperson for NEHUA, and trying to get a sense of the extent of damage. Now we understand that's one of the reasons that there's this adjournment. But again, off the top of your head, have you been able to gather to what extent this fire caused the Parliament?
So, Suleiman, what we know at this moment, and obviously there'll be more investigations going forward, but what we know is that Parliament is divided into 3 precincts. There's the old Assembly precinct and the new Assembly precinct. Now, in the old Assembly precinct, which is the precinct of Parliament, which dates to the colonial times, to apartheid, South Africa, that old Assembly building has been quite significantly damaged. In the newer precinct, which is where the National Assembly chamber is housed, and that's the chamber where we see all the proceedings happen, such as the State of the Nation address, such as the budget. That building has also been quite significantly damaged. We understand that it's lots of smoke damage, lots of water damage, and it's definitely not going to be usable, would need to be rebuilt. The National Assembly building is also the damage caused to the National Assembly building came up as a result of the flare-up of the fire yesterday afternoon, and that's where it then succumbed to much more serious damage than what was initially reported, in fact, on Sunday. So we do know that the National Assembly building is quite severely damaged. And also we believe that there's quite a lot of artwork and historic items from South Africa's history that would have been damaged and lost in this fire.
Well, Candace, before I let you go, on an unrelated matter, we see there has been some movement on the State Capture Commission finally, with the first report being handed over to President Ramaphosa. What is the status of that?
Well, this is quite a significant moment for us, Suleiman. You're right. It's been 4 years of a State Capture Commission, and we're now finally seeing the first results of that commission. And I think that's a really good sign for South Africans. I must tell you, it's a significant document, part 1 of 3. It's 874 pages long, so quite a lot of information. I was just starting to read the document this evening, and I can tell you that they've at least implicated 1,400 people in the entire commission's proceedings. They've interviewed at least 300 people and had 400 days of a commission. So quite a significant time spent on the commission, and the start of it is now unrolling. We do know that the president has said in the media briefing this afternoon that they will only be handing over this full document to Parliament on the 30th of June, and he will then provide his recommendations based on what the 3 parts of the report do say.
No doubt, quite an extensive job of work there. Many thanks for speaking with us, Candace Bailey.
Thanks, Suleiman.